Hello everyone, my name is Casey Robertson, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my final research presentation. So for a little background into my project, I did my project over the importance and benefits of being in a fraternity. So social organizations play a huge role in campus development and activity, and one of the most important aspects of a smooth college experience is finding your people. We all know it is a lot more comfortable to go throughout either middle school, high school, as we've all experienced, with a solid group of friends, knowing you can bounce ideas off somebody, ask for advice, and things like that. And there are many benefits to having a diverse friend group on campus, which a fraternity provides, instead of being in your own little bubble surrounded by almost identical people. You get a different perspective and viewpoint of how other people think, new things you might try, and other people's advice on that could be different, like on topics you struggle with or problems you go through in college, and get an outside looking in perspective. So the topic at hand, my main question that I focused on was how a fraternity, which mine in this case would be Phi Delta Theta, which is the fraternity I chose to rush in the second semester, and how a fraternity supports its members on their journey to success in college and beyond. And the thesis for my main question, after multiple forms of research, interviewing, and things of the sort, is that joining fraternity provides numerous aspects such as brotherhood, future planning, and growth as an individual to help those who become brothers tackle the daunting challenge, which we've all figured out, of college. So, in reviewing my literature and other forms of research, three main themes presented themselves. And the first of those three would be that being in a fraternity allows a young man to be a part of something bigger than himself. And going against the societal stereotype of a frat was another theme that presented itself. The last of the three would be working outside the fraternity and planning for the future. As you can see, the photo to the right is one of my favorite verses, and it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." And I thought this really represented the idea of being in a fraternity, that it's you work off each other, and as young men trying to tackle the same difficult task of college, you help build each other up instead of trying to focus on individual gain. So the first of the three themes is being bigger than the individual. Being in a fraternity allows for young men to work toward a very common goal, since you already are supposed to be working as a unit. And one of these main common goals that I've experienced is service to others. And through observing, I've learned that this cohesion makes the group more successful and enjoyable for everyone when everyone's contributing and working together and really building authentic relationships. And this is further stressed in one of my research resources, when it said, "In Phi Delta Theta, it is important to be truly passionate about the fraternity in order to have a better experience." And I completely agree with this, because you don't want to go, why commit to something if you're going to show no effort for it? And when one person shows no effort, it kind of rubs off on other people, and it brings the whole group down as a whole. And the picture the picture on the right depicts the Live Like Lou Foundation, which is the main service organization or philanthropy organization that Phi Delta Theta focuses on, and it helps ALS patients and homes stricken with ALS patients, and they help do things such as like common housework, like mowing the grass, like painting the fence, cleaning the pool, cleaning the gutters, and stuff like that. Just because, I mean, people in the further stages of ALS can barely move up and get around. And so just to provide some small work like that goes a lot longer than people think. It goes way farther than people think. So the second of the main two topics is fighting the stereotype. And many people have the wrong idea. I've learned this, that like society and some of the media paints like fraternal organizations to be strictly for like partying and mischief, and you see it in movies. Like when it's in a college setting, usually the people that are getting the most trouble or causing the problems are the frat kids. I say in air quotes, but they seem to be painted in a very bad way, and I just really don't think this is the case. And some of these problems were highlighted when Mathiasen like recognized the problem. And in 2005, he said, forcing a pledge into an uncomfortable environment that hinders their growth as a man and can turn them into complete pretenders who are not themselves anymore. And what I kind of took in my interpretation was when you try to force somebody into being someone they're not, they really don't show them their true selves, because they're trying to fit in, and they know they're going to kind of stick out like a sore thumb if they don't. And when you put them in an environment where they can't really express themselves and be their own individual, it really doesn't allow them to grow in their own interests and develop into the man they really want to be. And finally, the last of the three main topics is looking forward and moving on. So one of the main, most beneficial aspects of involvement in a fraternal organization are the skills that like me and other young men develop that will aid us in their future endeavors. I mean, you have numerous things that I can list off, such as like PR skills and just conversing with people and learning how to carry yourself in a very respectful manner that kind of almost commands the respect of other people, just to name a few. And something as simple as proof of membership can assist in areas of life such as the workforce. And as you can see in the quotation, a study was done back in 1997 that showed being an alumni of a fraternity increased your chances of landing a job by over 15%. And I can attest to this because when I was rushing, one of our real big leaders in the group for my pledge class showed us the website. I think it's called Handshake, that is, you all have probably used throughout your freshman year or sophomore year at Nova. And he applied to a job that had a position that was filled by, or like was overseen by, a former Phi Delta Theta member, or like a alumnus, and he was just offered the job practically on spot and kind of bumped up in front of the other candidates just because he knew that he was a Phi Delta Theta member, and he knew the expectations to get into the fraternity, and already really didn't even need to talk to the guy. So my methodology for my interview is I conducted one with the chapter president. So we are Phi Delta Theta Florida Omicron chapter, was the chapter president Tony Padilla, who's one of my good friends. And the interview is composed of about 10 questions, all with varying themes. So I try to kind of dig answers out of Tony by proposing different types of questions that covered all types of aspects, like, for example, what made him want to join the fraternity, what was the biggest benefit you've gained in your 3 years of being in the organization, and other questions like that. So I will now be going into my analysis of my primary research. So my findings through observation were, like, first off, the numerous opportunities to express your own interests, and whether this be, like, in my personal experience during Rush Week for Phi Delta Theta, was either like intramural sports. They held like video game tournaments and stuff like that. So they really played to a wide variety of people's interests because they want a diverse group of people, which I find that very very pleasing to me because I have a wide variety of interests myself, and I don't want to be surrounded. Like, I know I can give a personal example in high school since I played a lot of sports. I was kind of thrown into the jock category without even people really getting to know me, and just because I was like associated with the group, people assumed it. Another big finding through my observation was not being forced into a mold of I'd say like a air quotation like ideal member. So they weren't expecting like they have expectations of the values and like like core principles people hold themselves to and like what they want to have because they don't want some like trashy member that's going to give them a bad name, but they want an upstanding guy that's really going to represent the fraternity well. But going back to what like not being forced into a mold is they were really loosely based on like people they were looking for other than like I said ideals. And like there's so many wide variety of people. I mean, like a total mix of ethnicity. I should just say like interest levels, like athleticism, it's things to name a few. But the last finding through observation was the relationships built are authentic and not used as stepping stones. So one of the main things that stuck out to me during Rush Week was, and like other events that I had to go invite only in my pledge classes that I went through for a 6 week process, was that they really practice what they preach and the authenticity of how close they are as brothers. Like the term like brothers and brotherhood was really stressed and it really stuck out to me that people that didn't know each other practically 3-4 years before would now practically be willing to take a bullet for somebody. I say that in like metaphorical terms because they're just so close, and all the stuff they've done together and working towards common goals and serving others has really brought them together. And the second part of that is not used as stepping stones. And I say this because, like I've mentioned before, a lot of people go into groups thinking, oh, what can I gain? Or what can I gain as an individual by using other people? And this is totally not the case with the fraternity I rushed. And it's more of a we lose as a team, we win as a team, but we're going to make people almost like or allow people to build such strong relationships that they want to help one another out without just focusing on personal gain. So, in conclusion, I gained a very valuable perspective from someone who oversees a large group of members. So, I'm referring to my friend and the president, Tony Padilla. And it's nice to see somebody who's been in the organization since it's been founded, to see different types of members that have come through and how they feel they've progressed so far and their expectations and his expectations on where they think they'll go in the future. And another thing I wanted to talk about was Phi Alpha Theta really practices what they preach. As I mentioned in the previous slide, all their core principles that are listed on their website, they teach in pledge classes are really stressed, and they're not afraid to call somebody out on where they stand if they're not like upholding their end of the bargain and representing the fraternity in a respectful manner, which is really nice because this leads me into my next point, which is everyone is their own person and the group is serious about holding one another accountable. Accountability is one of my biggest things for me, is when a group that large can hold each other accountable with so many different varying personalities and different levels of interest in different topics. That really sticks out to me as a huge positive because you can see like that diverse of a group can come together and be respectful of each other enough and comfortable enough with each other that they can like they have the trust and ability to call each other out when they honestly know someone is in the wrong or needs help getting through something. So yeah, that was my final presentation. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all stay safe during this crazy time. Thank you.